Hello, everyone. Hi there. It's great to be here with everyone. Today, I'm going to be talking about curating a purposeful career. Why is the subject so important? We'll talk about this subject because as we move into a world of more automation, of an increased question of what is the role of humans in the workplace, we've really come back to this question of how do we build a purposeful career? What is that kind of competitive advantage we have as humans? So I'm very happy to dive into this. Today, I'll take questions in the chat, but we'll answer them at the end, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much. I'll start with a brief intro to myself. So it's very nice to be here with everyone for this conference. My name is Yolanda Lee. I'm the founder and CEO of Uncommon. Uncommon is a peer learning network for women in leadership. We use behavioral science and coaching and community to really transform individuals and organizations. A little bit about my background. So I'm originally from Toronto in Canada. I'm currently based in Singapore, out in Asia. But I've spent the last over 10 years of my career really building very fast-growing tech companies around the world, from the likes of Uber, where I worked for them across sub-Saharan Africa in markets like Kenya and South Africa, for Deliveroo, which was an Amazon-backed startup, worked for them across the Middle East and out here in Asia, and for Rocket Internet. I always love to kick off this talk with my own purpose statement, and one that I've carried through my own career, which is to really expand the boundaries of my comfort zone, and go and carry that forward in everything that I do, and particularly in my foray into building a venture-backed company now as an entrepreneur. So what can you expect from this session? A few things. So firstly, really, in the short time that we have today, this is kind of scratching the surface, but really understanding why does purpose matter in the workplace and beyond, reframing our understanding of purpose. Sometimes it can be such a heavy subject, and that where we think that it requires a lot of, it needs to be a concrete piece of work and concrete statement. And then lastly, really getting curious and about exploring our own purpose, from day one and in our existing roles in the spaces that we're in. So we'll first look at, why does purpose matter? We'll look at rethinking purpose. We'll help you find clues in your existing career. Sometimes looking back, you can see the most clarity there. We'll look at creating impact with purpose, and we'll draw some conclusions. So, what is purpose? I would say it's really, and often I'm happy if you want to put that in the chat if you have some ideas, but it's really about being connected to something that's bigger than yourself. It's knowing that your work really matters beyond, just kind of hitting your key performance indicators. And it's understanding how your work also affects other people, not just within your organization, and on a balance sheet, but really being able to show up and understand how you have a bigger impact. When I Google image search purpose, these are some of the kind of conventional ideas that come out. So starting in the top left, I think this really embodies this notion of purpose needs to be something that you go out and you leave your day-to-day and you find it out on a mountain. And we're going to kind of challenge some of these as well. In the top right, it's thinking outside of or thinking, okay, what is it? Sometimes that balance between financial reward and purpose, and how can you kind of think outside of sort of the soul material values that we have as well. The bottom right embodies again this idea that we've got to kind of remove ourselves from our day-to-day to find that purpose. And I would actually really like to challenge that and see and show how we can explore purpose in our day-to-day careers. It doesn't require you quitting your job and moving to some remote part of the world. And then lastly, in the bottom left corner, looking at, as an organization, as a team, figuring out that shared purpose as well. So I would really propose that we rethink purpose. So firstly, we tend to think of it as this quite heavy subject of, okay, I've got to find my purpose. Where is it? And that it's going to be neatly packaged for us, and some very clear purpose. And it's not a living, breathing thing. It's not a process that we're constantly discovering. It's really a concrete item or concrete statement. And that might be true for some of you today. I would say, in the work that we do at Uncommon and working with leaders, it's very rare that somebody has a very concrete idea of what their purpose is. And it's a much more fluid, iterative process. The second image, looking outside of ourselves. Sometimes we're so distracted and pulled in different directions around, what motivates us. Maybe someone else is working on something very interesting. You can get pulled in so many directions. And so, we're gonna look at ways in which we can actually look inwards and find and look back at our own careers and find something that's really motivating for you. I love this quote by Mark Twain, which again really embodies why does purpose matter, and how crucial it is as a kind of motivating factor as well. And then looking at what the research really tells us is, both on an individual level, purpose is linked to greater happiness, to well-being. And that mind-body connection, being less prone to disease when you wake up and you understand that the sense of meaning. And I think meaning and purpose is going to be some of the biggest workplace challenges that we're going to be solving in the future. And then looking at on an organizational level, so it really helps in this increasingly, complex, volatile, and unpredictable world that we're in. It's really, a purpose can really help be that North Star and guide an organization, and guide the structure, the processes, the strategies that we put in place as an organization as well. So I'll just give you a snapshot of an exercise that you can do for yourself. We unfortunately don't have a lot of time to go through this, but I really advocate for finding clues and looking back at your work. Often there's a bit of a red line when you look back at, what are the things that really energize you? What did you enjoy doing your work? What gave you a sense of self-worth? What didn't? And those can often give you a little bit of clues to the kinds of work that really motivate you, the things that you find very meaningful. What are you the most curious about? And then also understanding, how did you handle more challenging experiences? How did they shape and impact you? What were some of those formative experiences that also define who you are in both your work and your personal life, as the two become, more and more intertwined, as we've seen since the pandemic. I use this image because I think of finding purpose as an exercise in curation, that you're collecting clues for yourself. So you might, for instance, see, within your team that you really love, mentoring and working with younger people. And that might be a little bit of a clue for yourself of things that really motivate you. And you might realize, okay, if you're working in a market research job, that what actually really drives you is solving problems for people. And that might be something that motivates you and will help you be a little bit of a guiding light for yourself in the roles that you take on, in the projects that you do. And so building a career, it's not necessarily about having always a very clear linear path. We're seeing less and less, very linear trajectories as industries change, as the world around us changes so rapidly. But it can also be being able to collect from every experience, to remain agile and adaptive, and to collect the experiences and curate for yourself what a purposeful career looks like. So creating purpose with impact. Now, first and foremost, I would recommend this framework as a practice to take your curiosity and turn it into action, because sometimes we don't have that concrete idea of what meaning is for us. And so firstly, leading with curiosity. It's not about perfection. It's really about having curiosity and then curating something that a little micro step or something that you can put into practice. Secondly, you want to follow with visibility. Sometimes we have these ideas that exist within ourselves, and they only exist within ourselves. Maybe you're really passionate about tutoring mathematics, and that's something you really love. You believe that being good with numbers is a really important skill to have, but that just is not necessarily a part of your core role, but it's something that really drives you. And if it exists solely within yourself, then people won't really know to support you in that, to think of you when opportunities come up. So visibility doesn't have to be speaking at a conference or posting to thousands of followers. It can just be a single conversation with somebody that you work with a mentor, with somebody that you trust. And doing that on a micro level can still have a macro impact, because when opportunities present themselves, you will come to mind. And then lastly, committing to a micro step, and thinking of it a little bit as an iterative process, and not something that has to be set in stone. For myself, for instance, before I founded Uncommon and I was running different orgs within tech companies, I actually started a private dinner series for women in leadership. And that was our earliest iterations. And I had no idea what it would turn into, but having that space to explore was really crucial for me, discovering some of what led me to purposeful work. So the key takeaways I would like to leave you with today is rethinking purpose as a living, breathing thing, and that you can collect clues within your existing careers. There's so many opportunities within organizations that you're in to find meaning and purpose in your work, and to be visible and test and learn with micro steps. So you don't have to commit to a huge life change. You can really discover if something is for you with curiosity and some tests along the way. Yeah, thank you so much, Zane, for the description of purpose, something that gives meaning to your existence from perspective. Great. Someone asking about a platform which requires data science for interpretation of text without a bias of culture and society. I not that I know of off the top of my head. I'm happy to share this presentation. Perhaps Jasmine, who's asking, I'm very happy to. So what I will do is share the presentation with the organizers, and they can disseminate it. Please feel free, if there's any other questions, to post them in the chat. I think the question about difference of opinions and data is really interesting. We at Uncommon, we do another session on difficult conversations, and it's all about that, actually, and how our own personal experiences kind of shape shape perspective and learning to kind of listen to each other. Sometimes I think the breakdown of those conversations, it's not necessarily a lack of data so much as it is the ability to listen to each other. That's at least what I've seen, because but I think that's a very interesting question. Great. If there's no other questions, don't be shy. You can put them in the chat, but if not, I'll let you get ready for your next session. Well, thank you all so much for attending today. It was so wonderful. Great to share this with you. And you can find me on LinkedIn if there's any questions that do come up. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye.